LSU gets the job done. The Tigers stay alive as they win 10-6. They complete the comeback against Little Rock after the Trojans go up 5-1 in what was a hectic second inning. Great watch party last night. Like we said, shout out to Golf Suite. Shout out to Lloyd for heading straight over after mic'd up yesterday, getting to Golf Suites, getting us up and running, and right on time for what was a crumble in the second inning by LSU before they ultimately bounced back later on. It was a rough start to the stream last night as LSU had a pretty ugly second inning, and we were live for it all. We appreciate everybody that was a part of the watch party last night. But LSU baseball, they get it started with an Ethan Fry solo home run, which was a sign of what was to come in that baseball game, as Ethan Fry is a man on fire right now for LSU, as he goes 4 for 4 last night, like we said earlier.
Needed all of them.
Needed every single one. I mean, his 4 RBI, or 4 runs, like he was responsible for the first 4 LSU runs, solo home run, base clearing double in the third. He put LSU on his back offensively during that baseball game. So he gets it started. The other 3 at-bats in that inning were not the prettiest. And then in the second inning, LSU goes up. But it was clean defensively for LSU in the first. Like LSU, let me see what. First you had a ground out, you had a single, then you had a fly out and a strikeout. Like it was clean, a clean first inning for Cowan. But that was not a sign of what was to come, as what really got me going last night, what had me nervous more than anything, was the fact that you got an inning in the third out of Zach Cowan and you had to pull him early. Like, as much as there was a crumble in the second inning, it was not pretty. It did not look good. You saw a lot of things from LSU that you were not used to seeing, like an error by Daniel Dickinson at one point in that ugly inning. My concern resided in the fact that you went into that baseball game thinking you need at least 4 out of Cowan and Kase when I'm talking about innings. Like, you wanted both of them to extend into that game to really make you feel comfortable about what was going to happen. Because that was your calling card going into the game, was still got Cowan, still got Evans.
Well, and you make the decision to start Cowan based off of his previous, like what you've seen in regional play, but what he's done at other stops. When he was at Wofford, he's a Friday night guy. He'd started regional games. He's won regional games. He's been able to do it through extending as being a starter. So
and the fact that he's only walked 10 batters all year.
Right.
That's another huge selling point.
That was because you had 11 walks yesterday.
It's like he's
or
going to
2
throw
days
strikes.
ago. Go throw strikes. You don't want to put Kase Evans in that spot where he does what inevitably Zach Cowan did,
right?
Which is not what you expected. But you make it felt like the right decision, as I've seen on Twitter, that you go throw Cowan because he has starting ability. You've seen Kase and Evans go out there and start, but it's been always a grind, right? You saw it against Tennessee. It's not really been extended that much. Cowan's the smart call, right call.
I agree.
Go ahead and do it. It's not really anything that can be debated. Then Cowan goes 1 1/3. 2 walks, 1 strikeout, 4 earned on 35 pitches and gets the yank.
Yep. It was not a pretty start. And I was, like you said, I was for the decision.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Like, you went with your experienced guy over the front. Like, that's to me what it came down to more than anything. Because you knew what you had in both of them. You were comfortable starting either of them. You went with the guy that's got the experience over the true freshman that was playing shortstop in high school last year and, like, putting him in that position. Instead, you go Cowan. It obviously does not go the way LSU wanted, the way any of us wanted the start to go. And so what you needed after that was for Kase and Evans to step up and do what he did, and that's exactly what he did. So in that second inning, that was ugly for LSU. It was tough because, I mean, this is the thing about Cowan, and I guess we can just have this discussion before we start to kind of pick apart the game and talk about what we saw last night. This is now, Texas A&M, 2 appearances for Cowan, both pretty bad. The next weekend against Arkansas, his appearance was solid. He did what you expected from Cowan. He kept you in that first game that went in extras, kept you alive, gave you the opportunity to win it, to walk it off. And then the next weekend against South Carolina, another ugly one in game 1 for Cowan. And then obviously had not pitched since the final regular season weekend until last night. And it's been a struggle bus as of late. Lloyd, what is your level of concern on Zach Cowan up to this point.
Yeah, but Conco was saying it in the chat where I don't want to say I was a little surprised, but it became pretty evident what Cowan was doing, and everybody started to pick up on it's really a two-pitch mix. He's got a fastball that sits like you saw him touch 90, 94, but 95 maybe once or twice when the moment was big, but it's the invisible changeup that he was able to throw for a strike and throw it consistently and be able to throw it 3 times in a row, and it just disappears under the bat, and it's a strikeout. Now teams are playing for that. Like, you're instead of sitting fastball, you're sitting changeup. And Conco, I have to agree with you, dude, because you're right. Like, he's now a one through the lineup guy. Like, if they're going to be able to sit and see, and they have film now, like you do that in baseball, and he's got a two-pitch mix, and if he's not throwing strikes, or even if he is, they're now not surprised by the changeup. They're sitting on it, waiting to get to see. So it's not ideal, but kudos to Cowan to be able to hide it for this long.
Right.
And if you come back and you want to like figure out a different way to pitch it, like that's what Yesky's for. Is like, let's find some pitchability here that we can still utilize what you've done. But I do think he's still a big time, big moment guy, whether to get 3 outs, but it's obviously not the role that you saw last night.
Yeah. And that my concern, the reason my concern level got higher,
the command,
was because he did something that was out of character. Like, the problem wasn't that they figured him out, like that wasn't the issue really last night. It wasn't throwing strikes. I mean, he starts the second inning with a 4-pitch walk and then a first pitch hit by pitch. Then there's a mound visit. And then, obviously, the Cano single to left field to score 1.
Oh, God, I thought that was going to be the turning point of the game.
Yep.
Like, whenever you go back, Ed, you're like, Bear Jones, he has the ball that he lets go foul from Cano. We're like, oh, should you pick that up? We're like, well, it went from first to second to third. You sacrificed the out. Like, for him, yeah.
Yeah.
At this point,
Get him
he's
out.
Killed you.
Get him out.
And then it does exactly what we were afraid of while you were watching. And if you're trying to say, hey, who's the one guy that can't beat you? Like, don't give him another opportunity to get a swing out. And he does, and he shoots a single to right field.
And after that, there's a sac bunt to advance him to second and third. So now the situation that you avoided by letting that ball go foul
happens
anyways. So then after that, another walk. It was a 5-pitch walk. It was strike and then 4 straight balls, followed by another single. This one scores 2, and that put Little Rock up 3-1 at that point in the game. And then out goes Cowan. So I mean that was where my concern level rose. My concern level was higher.
There you go.
Because his command,
way to punt.
You made it happen.
Up.
Was because the command wasn't there. Like, that's what had me, like, on edge. Because if it was just the same song and dance of, like, okay, they've kind of figured out his changeup, they're sitting on it, they're finding a way to kind of take his pitchability away, that wasn't the problem. I mean, it was 5 pitches to start the inning that had 2 runners on with a 4-pitch walk and then a hit by pitch. And then it takes 4 pitches for Cano to single to left, a sac bunt, 5-pitch walk. Like, just tough sledding and a really tough start for Cowan. And there should be, in my opinion, a raised level of concern about where he fits in now. Like, how exactly do you use Cowan to this point? Because now you kind of got to figure out his role again.
That was my question, right?
Right.
Moving into the Super Regionals and into Omaha. Are we comfortable with him being the closer? And if not, who gets the ball in those situations?
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a conversation. Because, like, Myers is obviously somebody that you can
And you saw the good
circle.
and bad of him.
You saw what happens when he gets maybe a little too extended into the game on Sunday night. Myers is definitely up in that conversation as the closer. Evans, to me, is now, I wouldn't say out of it, because I still think Jay is going to keep all the cards in his pocket. And if, like, there's an opportunity to go win a game, you're not going to, like, say they win on Friday and it's Saturday, like for the Supers, and it's Saturday, and it's a 4-3 ball game. You take Ianson out in the 8th or the 7th.
Or the 6th.
You go Kase. Like, you don't, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes Kase Evans as opposed to saving him for Sunday to close out that game and try to win it.
You've clearly seen the strategy here, and it's not much of a strategy other than if I have to win, I have to win. I'm going to use Anthony Ianson if I have to win. You saw it last year with Gage Jump. I'm putting my best player in in a scenario in which I need to win. Like it's not a left versus right. It's not any of that matchup. It's like I'm putting my best player in, and Anthony Eisen's been your best pitcher for the last 3 months, and so here's a spot where we can't look ahead to a super regional if you don't play in it, and so Anthony, give me all you got, cuz comes in and does it, and that's where it's and it was only 30 pitches, but because you got the absolute like stud performance from a freshman that it doesn't feel like he's a freshman ever. He came in as shortstop, maybe two-way guy, and instead it's like, no, I'm a pitcher. He just goes pitcher only, and you see him field his position the way that he was able to do so, and it's become, whether it was a bunt and he gets the one and he throws it to third, and to go out and have a Herculean 105-pitch effort whenever you didn't know that who else was going to come up. Like, Einstein wasn't ready to go yet. And so you had to extend, because I think a lot of people, even us watching, we were surprised to see him go back out there.
Came out 2 batters late, probably.
Right, but you didn't have a choice.
Right.
Like, Einstein wasn't ready yet. You wanted to see if he could give you one more, because at the end of, when did he come out? The 6th? 7th?
Ooh, Kase?
Yeah.
7th.
Yeah.
He finished, it was the 7th.
That's what, so at the end of the 6th, you're like, he's toast. I was like, he's done. Like, great work. But you could clearly see he was just trying to throw strikes.
Right.
He wasn't trying to throw you anything other than, like, get it over the middle. I'm not walking anybody.
Right.
And then he comes out again because LSU has this star turn on offense where you're like, oh, you got him a little bit of a rest. And he comes back out. He gives you a little bit more time for Einstein to get ready. You see Einstein come out the pen. And another good decision, I would say, because you have to win. There's no point in playing this long game and looking ahead if you don't get to be there. And you also have to give, like, are we all comfortable with saying Arkansas Little Rock pretty good?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. They went out there and they performed against you 2 times in a row.
I mean, it wasn't a fluke.
And it was 22
they win their
to 10
conference
against Rhode
tournament.
Island.
They get to a regional final and they are absolutely in the money for 7 innings.
Beat DBU, beat us. That's
John Eads
it wasn't a fluke.
John Eads has a really good clip if you want to run it real quick of the legend of Kase Evans that was born last night, with some highlights from the game and obviously some sound, as it was a massive performance, and obviously the discussions around Cowan, but the job Kase Evans did coming into that baseball game was absolutely massive.
I mean, needed. You don't have
Oh
a
my
prayer.
gosh.
You don't have a pulse.
No.
You don't have a shot if you don't get somebody to come in, and it's what we talked about it a little bit, like Thatcher Hurd 2023.
Right.
When after a rain delay, you're like, kind of hold
Need
your breath
something.
a little bit. You'd seen Thatcher in like spot rolls. It's like, I get it. I see the potential. But then it was, gotta have you, cuz. And he goes out and strikes out 12, and you're like, you saw Nate Ackenhausen in Omaha, where it's an absolute elimination game.
Yes.
He's never started, and it's like
Against Tennessee.
gives you 6 shutty.
Yeah,
like,
Will
this is what
Helmer's
you need.
last year North Carolina.
Should be in this conversation,
Right.
but because you lose, it's going to get forgotten in the annals of history.
Yes.
But it was one of those all-time performances where there was the exact same thing Will Helmer's did a year ago, where it's like, except I don't even know if he thought he had that in him. Like Kase Evans, you know that he's a pitcher and he's going to be a stud and he'll be a starter at some point in his career. But right now, I don't know if you move him to Sunday,
right?
but where he is right now and doing that was all-time.
Well, I would say you have Friday, Cade Anderson written in Sharpie, or you have Cade Anderson, Anthony Einstein written in Sharpie for who your pitchers are.
They're going to go Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I do not know.
I don't know. And then for Game 3, it's written in pencil, Kase and Evans, because he can be erased and put in another spot. So,
well, yeah, I think that's going to be the conversation probably moving forward. You saw Cowan, and if there's a concern level around him, I get it, I understand it, but I also think there's still a role for him where
he's got to find it.
Get right back right to what you were doing. Follow up Cade Anderson. Come in, get 6 outs, and move on.
Yep.
There's no, doesn't need to be extended, doesn't need to start. Just because the sample size, it is what it is. The same thing if you want to look at, Kase and Evans, where it's like, I keep seeing it, it must be true.
Right.
And Cowan, you've seen the other end of it where I think he's getting figured out a little bit. But one time through the lineup, I still trust Cowan. He got you here, he's gotten you here.
Yeah.
Then you don't have another bullet, but you've also seen Cooper Williams show up. You've seen Jacob Myers at times. It's taken Chase Shores, all hands on deck.
Yep.
And I guess that would be the conversation if you wanted to have one and not at least take a moment to exhale and be like, okay, super regional.
Right.
And you'd still have, like I said, you have Anthony Einstein, Cade Anderson. Now you're in a super regional play where you only have to win 2. Just win 2. It's not play 5 games.
Nope.
It's not wait until Monday.
Just play 3 games, win 2 of them.
Win 2.
He's got to win 2.
It's a normal weekend.
And this is how your team is set up, is to win 2.
Yeah.
You give me Anthony Hines and Kate Anderson, and I got to win 2 games. I feel very good about where LSU sits.
Amen. So let's listen to the discussion on the legend of Kase Evans.
Baton Rouge breathing a sigh of relief in the early morning hours of the first Tuesday of June. LSU gets off the mat, punches back, and knocks out Little Rock 10-6 to win the regional championship.
I told the players tonight is one of the best wins of my entire career because of what they had to do to earn it. We obviously have great talent and great players. We won tonight because of character.
It means a lot, especially when we compete like we did tonight. Some teams were probably thought they were out of the game, but we knew we weren't done. But I'm just looking forward to continue to play in Alex Box.
There are some LSU fans that can recall memorable individual performances between the months of February and May. Kase Evans certainly had his fair share of those in his freshman season, but legends are born in June, and the Evans folklore coming to life on Monday night.
Hands down, one of the best performances I've had of this year and of my career. So I couldn't be more thankful for Coach Johnson and trusting me in this situation. When we were down a couple runs, he threw me in with runners on, and I was just going to go right at them and let them get themselves out.
When you get put in a situation like that where you're challenged, true competitors, I hate to say they rise to the occasion because he shows up to work every day. And he doesn't act like a freshman, he doesn't go about his business like a freshman. If anything, we have to kind of pull the reins back at times because he wants to get going. If you noticed that one of those innings out there, I had to send the signs in slower to try to get him to slow down because he's like a horse that just wants to run. So
I think he's the best reliever in the country, and I think he showed that tonight. He's actually had rest like the last 2 weeks. We haven't pitched him much, but I think it was for this to save him. I think Coach knew we were going to need him, and he came through when it mattered most. He's done that all year, and we trust in him. He's our guy, and he had our back today.
Coincidentally, LSU would have faced West Virginia in the Supers last season had it won the Chapel Hill Regional. But 1 year later, we'll get that matchup in the box with a trip to Omaha on the line. Covering LSU baseball, John Eads, WAFB 9 Sports.
Excellent stuff there from John Eads, LSU baseball. Yeah, I mean that was as impressive as it gets in a postseason victory last night. As ugly as it was in the second inning, you saw the heart of this team.
This is the moment.
This guy,
bases
right
loaded. Give me one, and give me that, the box. And you saw Jay Johnson say it's like, it's as loud as I've ever heard it. And they needed all of it. How could you not have a fucking moment? Have a time. Step it the fuck up.
Play
like this
again.
poor guy.
Play it again.
Oh!
First of all,
Nobody does it like the fucking box, dude.
Well, and not just the box. I mean, Kase Evans and Alec Box,
freshman
injected into the veins.
Freshman.
That's the thing.
Electricity. That is as good as it gets in sports in general.
Play shortstop.
Absolutely electric from Kase Evans and Alec Box Stadium. What a moment. What a night. Shout out to John Eads for the clip there because that was great work. But yeah, I mean, as much as you can have your discussion around the concern of Cowan, and we'll probably get into that as we get closer to super regional play this weekend. As much as your concern level may be raised on Cowan, you got to be feeling really good about Kase Evans and the role he has, like the job he did last night, and just proving once again. I mean, he's that guy.
Yeah.
And I do think there is credence to he might just feel more comfortable coming out of the pen.
Yeah, and you've seen them. They tried to use him in multiple ways, and everybody like I see it on Twitter. I just typed in his name, and it's all Friday night guy next year, Friday night guy next year. And look, you'll get there.
Yeah, we'll have that
point,
discussion when we
Schmidt
get to.
will be in that rotation too. But right now, unbelievable bulldog role, like absolute dog to come in and give you what? Let's see.
It was 6 innings,
5 2/3, 12 strikeouts, 8 in a row. No earned.
9 in a row.
9 in a row.
9 in a row.
Like had to have it.
Had to have it. I mean, just absolutely massive.
And you got the same thing from Cooper Williams the day before, where
Right.
it was like, literally, you could make fun of it, say what you will. Hold the rope is fucking real. And he went in there and held the rope and pulled you back in the game because it got you Ethan Fry. It got you Papi. All of the things that you needed everything last night because you had a team that didn't want to die. They were looking at Super Regional like we might go to Omaha.
Right.
Like if we keep this run, we beat LSU and Alec Box and we take a regional. Where does it stop? I don't know.
I mean, the confidence that Little Rock
LSU
was
should have won that
with.
game yesterday.
Right.
Like the way everything was against you somehow, and LSU was like you see all of the SEC teams start to get eliminated in a regional, and you start looking at the bracket, and you go, man, it's kind of set up for LSU.
Well, you're watching the second inning. Like we're sitting in golf suites. We've got the LSU game on this TV. Murray State and Ole Miss was up here in the corner. It's the fifth inning right now for LSU, and I mean not the fifth inning, the second inning right now, and you've seen 5 runs, and Ole Miss is about to lose to Murray State, and you're like,
this is all around me.
This is not good. Like, how can you even feel confident? And like, they panned through the dugout at one point with the TV camera, and it looked absolutely dead. Yeah. And I would assume it was like the third inning, right after that second inning, right before.
I mean, I quit for 2 minutes.
You quit.
It was
fully retired.
The bottom of the second and into the third inning.
It was a funeral.
It was as bad and as dark as it can get.
It went
as
from
a
Jay
sports
Johnson,
fan.
who just had his head in his hands and looked like if you gave him rope, hide all the ceiling fans, and then you look through the rest of the dugout. There's not one guy.
No,
like you needed something. You needed a spark, and you get it from Ethan Fry. 4 for 4, could have hit for the cycle if he wanted to.
Or from you and Justin holding hands.
That's right.
Yes, I mean, in the top of the third, in response to that ugly bottom of the second, where Arkansas Little Rock scores 5 runs, you have Braswell who goes up 3-0, ends up grounding out to start off the inning. Curiel draws a walk, and then Fry singles. So you've got 2-1. Milam flies out, but it gets it's a sacrifice. It gets Fry and Curiel to second and third. And then Dickinson walks. Now the bases are loaded. You can feel a little bit of juice, like just a little bit of energy.
Just give me something.
We started talking about bashing then.
Right, yes. And Jake Brown flies out as he fights back to a 3-2 count. He flies out to end the inning, leave the bases loaded, and that was just like
another
crushing.
Because you it's not hard to go back to the day before where like bases were loaded.
Right.
You had opportunities, second inning, third inning, fourth inning, fifth inning, and it becomes LSU leaves runners on base. You have to. And it's not a coach thing. It is an absolute put yourself in that situation enough times. At some point, somebody's going to break through, and you got it last night.
Yeah, no, I mean it. But what you had right after that, in the bottom of the third inning, was fly out, strike out, and then out at first. It was a clean, quick bottom of the third. Evans got you out of it, gave you a little bit of life, and
I think he was at 14 pitches. I said, if you can get a 10-pitch inning, a 12-pitch inning, and just turn this thing right back around and get back to offense, and that's exactly what he gave you. I think it was 10 pitches. And it was just like it felt like the bases loaded thing went away.
Yeah.
You needed some momentum. That gave you momentum right back. Like, get to the dugout. Let's do this thing all over again.
And then Jared Jones starts it off with a leadoff single.
And the other way. Gets one the other way.
You feel great about it. And then Stanfield hits into a fielder's choice.
Move it over.
Hernandez flies out. So now it's 2 outs, and you're still feeling like you got Stanley on base, but you're still feeling kind of.
Here we go again.
Like this is still not feeling good about it. Larson, pinch hit, walked.
Love it.
4-pitch walk, which was excellent. So there's a mound visit. Then there's a wild pitch. You get Larson and Stanley to second and third, and you're like, okay, you can kind of feel it. 4-pitch walk, wild pitch.
The box is breathing. As Mikey says,
right?
This is how it happens.
Don't give them life. Little Rock made 2 mistakes right there, and they followed up with Curiel draws a walk. So it goes
bases
walk,
loaded again.
Wild pitch, walk. Bases are loaded.
2
Alex
outs.
Box can feel it. 2 outs. And who else in the country would you want stepping up to the plate right now? In that moment, 2 outs, bases loaded. Need it more than you can breathe.
The Whiteberry Bonds.
Ethan Fry. There's literally nobody in the country that I would want stepping up to the plate in that moment more than Ethan Fry right now.
It was so bizarre to go from the complete lack of confidence.
Yes.
To seeing him get in that box and being like,
so here again.
This guy fucking got it.
Yeah, like it. You felt absolutely dead 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And now you've got the bases loaded, 2 outs. Ethan Fry doubles to right center, clears the bases. Curiel scores. Stanfield scores. Larson scores. Curiel scores. And all of a sudden, it's a 5-4 ball game, and the Tigers are alive. Like, that is the beauty of the sport of baseball. You go from feeling dead 10 minutes ago to now. I mean, we're watching the game. Everyone is on their feet. Like, at Golf Suites, in Alec Box, everybody's, like, zoned in on this television.
There's nothing
and
like
it's like,
playoff
oh, my
baseball.
gosh, Ethan, like, it lined up exactly how, like, that's why Skip talked about it as the perfect game. Like, look at the timing, the way it lined up. You get 3-1, walk, wild pitch, walk. Ethan Fry up to bat.
Shot to right center. That's going to
And that
drop
is a laser.
As good as it gets. 113 miles per hour off the bat.
Curiel scores.
Rolls into second base.
Listen to the box.
Curiel having fun. Alec Box is alive.
And I mean, from in the room with us, from that moment on,
It changed.
it was kind of like,
flip the switch.
we got this.
The lights were off. Ethan Fry turned them back on and put tape over the switch. Said you can't turn these off.
Yeah.
Like,
You just needed something.
resuscitated a fan base, a baseball team, everybody.
Also doomed Justin to 5 more innings of hand.
Doomed Justin to continue to hold Lloyd's hand for the remainder of that game. That's as good as it gets.
Yeah, you really can't ask for anything more from that.
You can't. Like, it lined up just as good as it could, and then you can't not feel confident after that happens, and you've got Kase Evans going back on the mound. Like, Kase Evans and Ethan Fry in that moment of the game, after that second inning, before you had the awakening of Papi in the 6th.
He hit 2 bombs.
Bombs.
Evans comes out, and that's when he starts his 9
Strikeout.
strikeouts,
Right, and then you turn around right after that. You have a single to left center by Little Rock, and you have a ground out, and you have strikeout in the 4th, and into the 5th you've got strikeout. Into the 6th you've got strikeout. Into the 7th, strikeout. Like,
and then Christian runs his
Christian
his
ran
big
his
fat
mouth and
mouth.
ruined it.
mouth.
But I mean, 5th, 6th, and 7th inning, just
You couldn't act like the
As
momentum
good
that
as
he
it
created
gets.
for you from being like as much as you want to do it offensively, doing that on the mound and being able to do the quick change, put the pressure right back on Arkansas Little Rock, and it felt like you couldn't breathe. Like, flip this thing
Yes.
over. LSU, it felt like was always at the dish. And that's when you start creating more. Once you cut that thing, because when you look at the scoreboard and it's 5-1, and you just feel like, God, that feels almost insurmountable at some points. And then you have, boom, bases loaded, double with 2 outs, and it's 5-4. Oh, new ball game.
yeah. Like,
And then, Poppy, I'll tie it.
as ugly as that second inning was, like as bad as it got. I mean, you're going walk to a hit by pitch to another walk to an error that's the first error of the regional. This defense that has been basically spotless all year, all of a sudden the pressure's on an error on a flip from second to short.
And you have the Texas League that looks like an absolute debacle between Stanfield and Dickinson. Like they both run into each other. Like, oh, this is it's a circus.
It looked like an absolute meltdown in the second inning. And then to flip the switch the way LSU did in that 4th inning and on, Kase Evans and Ethan Fry putting the team on their back. And then just holding the rope until Luis Hernandez decided to break out, hit a homer in the 6th. In the 7th, you've got another Fry double to lead it off. Advances to third on a wild pitch. Milam with a swinging bunt scores Fry. And then into the 8th inning, guess who? Papi again. Another home run. Crushed the baseball. Gets you to the 9th, where you have a Jared Jones homer. You have a Hernandez RBI single. Like, that is what good baseball teams do. Like, they have the guys that can step up when you need them, answer the call. Ethan Fry, Kase Evans did that. They held the rope, and then Luis Hernandez came out swinging to close it out to give LSU the victory.
And it's guys stepping up and doing that aren't your 1, 2, 3 star type of guys. Fry's getting up there at this point.
Yeah, at this point,
But
I mean, yeah.
he wasn't earlier in the season necessarily, and it's those second tier kind of guys when they start to make those plays, that's when you have a team that can do.
You need all of
serious
it.
damage.
You need all of
This
it.
is what you need in postseason baseball. It's like it's always somebody steps up, somebody does something, and then you do it enough times where it's we've always as Luis Fernandez is going to catch, he's an absolute warrior back there.
Right.
Takes one off the collarbone. You can see it like he's wearing everything, and then he goes he gives you 2 homers at the dish. Like you can almost write him off like if he does something great, but then he gives you 2. And then it gets to the point where now your stars are stepping up. Curiel, Jared Jones gets hot. And now if you're going into a super regional with Jared Jones feeling a little bit better at the plate, I would say. Because this was an absolute